And there's a picture in here that we took a few months ago with all of the adults and the boys. And besides this, there's also 2 other pictures in here in case you'd like to change off. And more importantly, there's a list of by row who the boys are, so when you get to my age, you'll remember who they are. Mr. Garner, thank you. Fantastic. Thank you. Come on up here, Royce. Before we start, boys, just a few things I want to say about Scott. I've watched Scott mature from, my God, you really want me to be Scoutmaster, Jack? To, wow, what a Scoutmaster we have. I've seen it in the last 3 or 4 years. I've watched him grow not only in his scout skills, but in his relationships with the boys. We've been to summer camps 5 or 6 times. We've been to Jambo together. And I've just seen a tremendous change in Scott. And I hope you boys appreciate what Mr. Garner has done for you. You have no idea how much time he has put in order to make what seems to be a simple thing happen. And it takes hours and sometimes days and sometimes weeks. No offense, but not for you. But anyway, we'll get on to you later. I just wanted to say, Scott, I'm really proud to know you and to have helped you along your scouting journey. I think you're tremendous, and I know you're not leaving the troop, so I'm going to be on your case here for a little while longer. But before we let you go, we're going to turn the tables on you, and we're going to ask, like we do with the Eagle Scouts, we're going to ask for a few little testimonials about your time with Mr. Garner, and I'm going to start, so you know where I'm coming from. All of the adults, most of them, have heard Mr. Garner's favorite expression. How did that work out for you? Well, I think we've probably heard it more times than any of you. So I can't remember how many nights we camped together. How many? 5 summer camps, 6 summer camps. And when you go to summer camp, Mr. Garner and I share a tent or a cabin. And as many times as he said, how'd that work out for you? It's nothing like being there like day 3. You've been up since 5 in the morning, it's midnight, and you're laying there next to Scott and you're talking about what you did. And he leans over to you and he says, how'd that work out for you? So, since Mr. Garner says I was instrumental in getting you to take over the Scoutmaster, I just have one question. How'd that work out for you? Stand up and tell them your favorite Mr. Garner story.
You won't bite.
Keep church, Mark. Go ahead.
It was fun and put a lot of time in all our camps and stuff.
That's right. Yes. You guys got anything to say? You guys have gone to Jambo or
Where's Dan? Dan, you remember when we were up at camp up at Daniel Boone, and we were out fishing, and we had a fire drill, and Dan and I were cleaning the last of the fish, and we were not going to let that fish go to waste, and we were late. We were late back to the camp. So actually, I got my first lesson in being an assistant scoutmaster is that I'm not to keep the boys out late to pass the event. So Mr. Garner took our fishing rods away from us for about 3 days. So I got my first good lesson.
Gotta know what he said to you.
I've only been to summer camp with you 3 times, including Jambo, but all those have been awesome. So,
I agree.
woo! Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Where did you start from, Jambo? I don't know.
somehow I've always wound up with one of Mr. Garner's several action figures. Mini Mr. Garner, where he has his little hat on.
I want that back, by the way.
Last year I got Mr. Garner potato head. Priceless.
You want to talk really bad about it. Stand up and spit it out, buddy.
While at camp this year, after an incident, Jay Gillespie put another kid's shoe in the latrine, and so Mr. Garner had to do his business and took a PO with it.
That was my kid's shoe, by the way.
They made you get it out, though.
Yeah.
So for us, thank you, Mr. Garner. Terry, would you stand up, please? We need to thank the most important person in the family, his wife Terry, for having him to be part of our troop and letting him out to play with me and the rest of the guys. Thank you, Terry.
I just have one thing to say about that. I want a Tuesday night date night.
Every other
How
one,
many
one Tuesday
years?
a month. We need it. You can have it the other.
Just one.
If I could just get a little bit more serious on this, I'd like you to think back a couple of years ago. Mr. Gardner was just starting out. We would have had probably trouble filling half of the front queue with scouts. And we're looking now, we've got two plus rows, and we had a number that didn't show up. So I think that says a lot for how.
Mr. Kirby, congratulations on being the new scout. I told Ron I'd stay around for a while and help him out. But I did want to say one other thing before I say a few words to Ron. It's your patches. Again, because of Mr. Garner, if you look over on this side of the room, there's a lot of adults here. When I was this scoutmaster a couple years ago, maybe the first row, okay? So it really did my heart good to take a look at what happened at summer camp, who went to summer camp, that kind of stuff. I didn't go to summer camp. Although it hurt me, scouting-wise, I was really glad that I didn't have to go, okay? Because we have now adults that are willing to take on responsibilities besides just that, 4 or 5 years ago, it was 2 or 3 of us, literally. Marcus was one of the 2 or 3. So again, thank you for that. But on a little more serious and semi-serious note, Mr. Kirby, it's a couple things about being a scoutmaster that you need to know. First off, if you're not having fun, there's something wrong. Okay? If the boys are not having fun, there's definitely something wrong. Okay? And scoutmasters not only are allowed, but they do make mistakes. You're not perfect. You need to understand that. And for some boys, you're the father figure. And that will happen to you when you least expect it. Mr. Garner and I share that with you sometime in private, how that happens. When you least expect it, you finally realize that this boy's looking up to you as his only male influence, and you're his father figure. And 10 years from now, a boy will come up to you in the bylaw, and he's now taller than you, looks like an adult, and you're trying to figure out how in the world you know this boy. He knows exactly who you are and knows your name. And he'll never forget who you are. You'll never forget a Scoutmaster, whether he's in for 6 months or 6 years. He'll never forget you. And that's part of the reward. And then, Garner will attest to this. Whenever you say you'd like to quit your job and be the Scoutmaster full-time, just remember, this is your full-time job. Your paycheck comes from your part-time job.
We're also having another changeover tonight as well. I'm stepping down as the troop committee chair, and Royce here has agreed to take on that important position as well. So I expect everybody to give him as much support as you've given me.
Time for cake?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Scoutmaster. First one. Typically,
I haven't had to close the meeting, or this is the first meeting I haven't closed in forever, so you guys.
I'm sitting down because I'm done.
I'm going to make a pitch here. First night up, I'm going to make a pitch. I still have a little goodwill. This is my honeymoon, so here's my pitch. If you're not involved, I want you to realize that scouting is extremely important to your children. They spend a lot of time, a lot of effort. They make a lot of good friends, a lot of great memories. 30 minutes, an hour, a week, a month. If you're not contributing, you need to. One, they'll appreciate it. They'll remember the times that you did whatever. And so will you. Okay? Scoutmaster, come in. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom ruled by a pretty good king. And through this kingdom, there was a road. And on the road, there was a big rock right in the middle of the road. One of the king's ambassadors, returning from a trip, complained about how the kingdom was going to pot and rode his horse around the rock. Now, I'm a road engineer, so this really, I really appreciated this. Just make it a pothole or something. One of the king's ambassadors complained that the kingdom was going to pot and rode his horse around the rock. A rich merchant came by, complained about the delay as his driver slowly edged around the rock and hurried on. A countess in her carriage whined the king was not doing his job and he should take better care of the road system. Many other people came by. They went around the rock throughout the day. And finally, a poor peasant came by carrying a large load of vegetables that he was going to sell to the market. When he approached the rock, he set down his burden. He pushed and he pulled at that rock until he finally got it moved to the side of the road. Where the rock had been, there was a leather purse. In this leather purse, the peasant opened it up and saw many gold coins and a note. The note read, "These coins are a reward for your efforts to improve our kingdom. Signed, the king." Taking time to fix a problem is better than just complaining about the problem. We need to get the flags.
Yeah, we need our flag to put them back in the truck.
Okay, Jake, that'll be up to you. Families, go eat cake. Let them eat cake.